So the Pixel 9 Pro is a phone that I very nearly did not buy. I got this back in early November. I traded in my Pixel 8 Pro, which I really didn't want to do, but the promises of better battery life, improved performance, better handling of the thermals was very enticing, and I ended up trading it in to get the phone. And I also wanted the smaller form factor, better network performance, all those things. So it's been nearly 6 months, and what are my thoughts on the Pixel 9 Pro so far? Well, I don't really use it. Now, I've had pretty much every generation of Pixel, at least one phone from that generation. The only one that I skipped was Pixel 3. I had the 2XL for years, and I've always found Pixels to be the best choice in terms of the cameras and just having a really nice and fluid UI to use, even with the switch over to Tensor, which came with Pixel 6. But with the Pixel 9 series, for me, something strange has happened. It feels like an iPhone in terms of the feel, at least, the build, that sort of thing. But it feels that they're going for very, very incremental updates now. Tensor is still lagging behind the competition in quite a drastic way when you compare it to Snapdragon 8 Elites and Dimensity 9400s. It is light years behind. But Google are now charging the same prices that you would pay for a top end iPhone or indeed a Samsung Galaxy Ultra. But even then, but even then, if the camera performance is still that good and is still the go-to option for me, then I'm happy to pay that. However, in some comparisons that I've done between the S25 Ultra and the Pixel 9 Pro, I'm finding that I like the results of the Samsung more. Now, that will be a shock to some people because I am also known as a bit of a Samsung hater. Not because I actually hate Samsung, but because I've always been critical of the cameras in particular, like my coverage of the S23 Ultra, where the cameras were just an abomination. The S25 Ultra has actually been a surprise. And with that, it has taken away the one reason why I always stuck with a Pixel. And I think this comes down to a couple of things. The other companies caught up on the hardware on the other companies caught up on the software side of things, so the computational photography, the processing, color reproduction, those sorts of things, and hardware. Now, Samsung don't really upgrade their hardware too much, but they have a better telephoto sensor in there, the 5X. It gives you better quality, and it has a better minimum focus distance for some nice macro shots. The Pixel 9 Pro, the hardware is essentially the same as the Pixel 8 Pro, barring the front-facing camera. Now, I've found in many situations that actually I've not been happy with the results from the cameras on the Pixel now. It's kind of strange. The processing can be super heavy and look kind of atrocious in lower light. I'm not sure why that is. It never felt like it was the case before, but I seem to be preferring the output from the Samsung. I like everything else about the Samsung, and that's left me in quite the predicament because I like everything else about the Samsung. The display is nicer. The build is on par, I would say. The Pixel build this year is very, very good. But when it comes to performance, thermals, battery life, the Samsung's in a different league. And sure, there's other phones out there as well that now have bigger batteries, even like the Chinese phones that have been coming out this year. I had the Oppo Find X8 for a little while, which essentially is a rival to the Pixel 9 Pro. It's a very similar size, but it had a massive battery. The display was just as nice. Build maybe not quite as nice, but you can allow that. And it was a little bit lighter for that as well. Cameras, though, the cameras for me were better, especially when using master mode. And you can get the Find X8 global version for hundreds less than the recommended retail of the Pixel 9 Pro. So Pixel now has gone from the value proposition to trying to fight with the big boys. And frankly, the Pixel 9 Pro is just not, it's not worth that. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can pick up a Pixel 9 Pro now on eBay in close to as new condition from some sellers for less than £650, which seems like a very good deal. However, I also sold my Oppo Find X8 for £650. At the moment, I'm finding it very hard to recommend Pixel to anybody. It's really, really difficult because there's some great options out there now, and Google are just charging too much. They're charging too much, and this is the first year where I've sort of felt Pixel's really not offering me what I want in a phone. It's just not. And you can feel that difference. You can feel the difference. It's kind of strange. And I've heard this from other people as well, where the Pixel, even though everything's smooth, it doesn't necessarily feel smooth compared to some other phones. And I do feel that. It doesn't feel quite right compared to using, say, my Xperia or the Oppo that I had, or even, as I say, the S25 Ultra. There's just something about it that's not quite right. Like it's almost like slight jitters that you don't necessarily see, but it's there's something tangible, and I can't quite pinpoint it. Don't get me wrong, battery life is fine. Day to day stuff is fine. The camera performs fine. The software is boring, to say the least. But it works. And for a lot of people, that is enough. But why would you buy a Pixel 9 Pro when you could just pick up a Pixel 8 Pro for less than half the price? It doesn't make much sense. And, you can get other phones, even from last year, if you're looking at like S24s, even S23s, an S23 Plus, S24, Xperia, again, like the Xperia 1 Mark 5. This, if you wanted a phone that just does everything, all the basics, has a headphone jack, removable storage, a nice screen, solid battery life, comparable to the Pixel, you can get these for like 350 now, and it's built better. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what to say about Pixel at the minute. I feel like I'm being very negative about it, but yeah, like I say, it feels like an iPhone. It feels like it's turned into an iPhone. Super incremental on the updates. We've got news leaks coming out of the Pixel 10 series, and I feel a sense of deja vu in a way because the Pixel 10 is going to have the standard Pixel 10 is going to have a telephoto lens at last. So it's going to have three camera sensors. So like an S25, and just like the S25, Google is throwing in a tiny, tiny sensor from what the leaks say. So it's going to be like 10 megapixels. And for all intents and purposes, quite a terrible telephoto sensor. So I feel like they're taking the approach of going down the route of whatever Samsung and Apple do. We're just going to copy that, and that'll be enough. I don't know what the strategy is. I don't know what the strategy is, and unfortunately, it means I am going to have to sell my Pixel 9 Pro because I'm not using it. I'm just not using it, and I think that's the first. It's the first time I've felt very underwhelmed, other than maybe the Pixel 7 Pro. I wasn't really impressed with the 7 Pro, but considering how much I like the 8 Pro, I thought I'd be fine with the 9 Pro, and I'm just not. I'm just not. The battery improvements are not that significant. The network performance, not that significant. I prefer the build of the 8 Pro. It still feels like a Pixel. And yeah, that's that. I'm still going to try and get a bit of a photography video for the Pixel out at some point soon. But yeah, it's been disappointing. I'm disappointed with it, and I kind of feel like this year is the year that I'm hopping off the Pixel bandwagon after nearly 10 years of being a part of that because I've used Pixel since the first. I really liked. I had a Nexus 6P, went to the Pixel XL, had that for a little while, and then when I got the 2XL, man, that thing was a game changer. That thing was a game changer, and it had the best camera by a mile. Performance was great, battery life was still solid, and the build was wonderful. And it had that uniqueness to it. Pixel had that unique design, even when we've shifted to the Pixel 6 series with having the visor. It was still a unique design and inherently Pixel. And even now with the Pixel 9a that we've just seen come out, that design's just out of the window. It's gone. Even with the 9 Pro Fold that we saw last year, completely different design, doesn't look like a Pixel. So I'm not really sure what the intention is from Google right now. I feel like they've lost their way a little bit. They're not working with YouTubers so much now in terms of like Team Pixel. It's going towards fashion influencers and all those sorts of things. not the tech crowd, who are the ones that pushed these phones in the first place, I remind you. So yeah, Pixel's in a very strange spot, and I don't know where that's going to go, but yeah, I'll be selling my 9 Pro. I've still got a Pixel 6 Pro. I'll still hold on to that, I think. I have a regular Pixel 6 as well. Still love the Pixel 6 design. Oh my god. It's just so good. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. So yeah, let me know what you think. I know some of you guys, there's gonna be a lot of you guys that actually do follow the channel that do use Pixel. And I know a bunch of you are still happy with your Pixels, but time for me to hop off, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay grounded. I'll see you in the next one.